Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm your host, Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I'm joined by a guest who embodies resilience, reinvention, and the power of community in business. Victoria Meyers is the founder of the Small Retailer Network, the UAE's #1 membership for product business owners. Her journey from managing 13 stores across the UK to starting a movement around collaboration and mentorship for small business owners in the UAE is a masterclass in turning setbacks into success and competition into community. Victoria, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's start off and talk about your early story. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I worked in the retail industry in the UK for around 20 years. So since I was studying for my A-levels, I started working in a store part-time just to earn some money. I didn't realise at that point it was going to be the start of a very long career. From there onwards, I've worked in retail stores for pretty much my whole career in the UK. And that was largely fashion and accessories brands. Working my way up from the shop floor, being direct with customers through to head office, working with supporting store managers to grow their sales and leading large teams across Scotland and the north of England. So I had quite a long and varied career in the UK. And then when I moved here to the UAE, I was actually on a bit of a career break. So it did take a little bit of time before I stepped back into the workforce by starting the Small Retailer Network.
Selling bed linen and towels while studying your A-levels. What did those early retail experiences teach you?
It really taught me a lot about what the customer needs, what the customer wants, and how to best serve and meet the needs of customers. Because at that point, I was 16, 17 years old. I wasn't really very interested in bed linen and towels, let's be honest. It was a really great foundation for me because it helped me understand and learn what is it that customers need, how can I have great product knowledge and understand the questions that they're asking and have active listening skills to understand what it is that customers want. And obviously, when they come in to buy towels, they're obviously usually looking for something more than what it is that they're coming in for. They're looking for their home to be more comfortable. They're looking for a lifestyle change. Is unspoken, but that's what they're hoping to buy when they come to buy the product. And that working in that environment really helped me to start to understand that. And that really stayed with me throughout my career, that when customers are coming to ask for product, it's what's their underlying needs, how to find out exactly what it actually is that they want that maybe is their unspoken need, and how best that you can meet that and also exceed it. It's very easy to exceed customer expectations and go above and beyond and really delight them when you can listen to them and understand what it is that they need. So that was a really great foundation for me working in that environment back when I was a teenager.
Yeah, that's really interesting. People are not just buying a product. It's a need, it's an experience, and everyone's need and experiences are different. So understanding the difference between the two, I can see why that was so important. You built a corporate career across major UK brands like Radley and Karen Millen. What was the biggest lesson you took from that world?
Biggest lesson I learned from working with such a variety of different product retailers was that essentially under it all, they're all doing the same thing. So there are certain techniques, there are certain strategies that all the big brands are doing because they work, and that's what helps them to become big brands. And I think from working in various different brands and selling different types of product, the experience at the front end for the customer was very different. But when you peek behind the curtain and look at the structures, the systems, the support that goes into making that customer experience happen, it's all very similar. So all these brands start with, they have a plan for the year. They know when they're going to get new stock in. They know when they are going to be running promotions. They know what campaigns are going to work for their customers. And it's all planned out and structured and supported by all the various back office functions. And the way that they operate is all very similar from one to another. And this has really served me very well as I've gone through my career, because once you've learned those skills and you understand how it works, it's very transferable from one brand to the next brand. And obviously that's what I'm looking to bring to the Small Retailer Network, is that same experience, because although it might seem that brands are very different, and obviously they might have different product, different price points, different customers, but at the end of the day, the way in which what makes a successful product brand, regardless of what they're selling, is the structures and the formation behind it. to give that seamless experience to the customer.
Really interesting. You've said that your biggest turning points weren't the promotions that you got, but the ones you didn't get. Can you share how those moments shaped you?
There were 2 occasions in which I felt so ready to progress and I felt really confident, and I applied for roles internally and I was unsuccessful. And at the time, both times, it was absolutely devastating. What actually happened was within quite a short space of time, both of those disappointments led to much greater things down the line. So the first time, I realized when I was not successful in getting that role that I had been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to be promoted. And if that wasn't going to happen there, I had to move elsewhere, despite the fact I loved where I worked, I loved the team, I loved the customers, I loved the product. If I really wanted to progress, I was going to have to move away and to explore different options. So it was quite a revelation to me. I realized that actually I could either stay in the same role and wait forever for another position to come up, or I could just take the leap and move somewhere else, and which is what I did. And I ended up getting a much better job in the new brand that I went to work for. That also had much better development opportunities in the long term. So that proved to be a really, although it was such a disappointment at the time, I think if I had been successful in getting that role, I probably would have worked for that same company for I don't even know how many years. And they certainly didn't have the opportunities to progress that I got when I actually moved. So in the end, it was actually a positive that I didn't get that role. And then the second time was the same again. I really thought I was ready. I felt very confident. And the most difficult thing about that was when I applied for the role was not that I lost it out to somebody else. It's that they decided that nobody was good enough for this job and they restructured the whole structure to mean that no one got that position. So it wasn't even like I thought, well, I lost to a better candidate. I was really devastated because I just wasn't up to the job. But on that occasion, I had an absolutely amazing line manager who was a great mentor to me. And I was able to get some really, really detailed, quite honestly, quite brutal feedback about what I needed to do in order to progress. Although it was very difficult to hear it at the time, I was able to take that feedback, use it, really work hard on my development. And then within 12 months, I had again been promoted to a much bigger role than the one I'd originally applied for, and had the results that I was getting, the enjoyment that I had from the job, the financial reward from this new job was so much greater than would have been if I'd have been successful originally. I think it really taught me like success is not necessarily linear, and sometimes the things that you think are the right thing for you is not necessarily the right path. And actually, just because something doesn't work out doesn't mean there's not some other opportunity. There's something else around the corner that will end up being a better opportunity in the long run. So I think on both of those occasions, it was really, at the time, it was devastating. But in the long term, actually, when I look back now in retrospect, in both times, that was exactly what I needed to happen in order to push and to progress and to move forward.
That's really interesting learnings that you had, that when things don't come easy or as we expect them to come doesn't mean it's a failure, because bigger things could come. And I think the takeaway is don't give up. You could have just said, okay, well, I'm stuck here now. I guess I'm never going anywhere, so I'll just stay. No, if the promotion didn't come your way, you had to then take that leap of faith and go somewhere else. And then that move helped you to realize new growth. And again, like you said, the second one also, some feedback, some hard truths, but then again, helped you to pivot, helped you to grow. So failures is not the end of everything. We should see them as opportunities for new growth.
Yeah. And I think definitely, particularly that second time round, it's really made me value feedback so much, because I would not have been able to work that out on my own. Like, I didn't know where my gaps were. I didn't know what I needed to work on. And it really made me recognize the value of feedback. I've always then, since then on, always really tried to give constructive feedback to people when they've asked for it, because I know how much that helped me to move on. When I'm doing something new, even now, I'm always ask for feedback. I always want people to tell me what they think, because not only so I can improve myself and to continue to progress, but to make sure that everybody is getting the right support that they need, getting what they need from me. I think, feedback. And sometimes it can feel scary to ask, because sometimes people don't say what you want to hear. Honest feedback is always positive in the long term. You just need to make sure that you don't take it too personally and see it as the learning opportunity that it is.
Absolutely. When the feedback can feel personal, try and look past the personal hurt but look for the genuine learning. What can I learn from this feedback? How can I do better? What can I grow? What can I change? I think that's valuable advice. Let's change direction and talk about your journey in the UAE. You said you took a break for a short while. Then you started with just one coffee morning, and now you run a community of over 350 small business owners. What sparked the idea for the small retailer network?
So when I first moved to the UAE, we came here with my husband's job, as many of us do. I was on a career break at that point, and I spent the first few years in Dubai happily as a stay-at-home parent, taking care of my kids. But when my daughter was off to school, I was ready for something new, something different. I was like ready to get back to work. But I really didn't want to go back to working for a corporate retailer because the hours are notoriously challenging at the best of times. But obviously it's a 24/7 industry and it's not very compatible with having young children. So I first started off doing some consultancy work. So I wanted to use those skills and knowledge that I built up over the years of my career to help the independent product businesses that are here in the UAE, because I could see there were so many amazing small businesses that had great products and the owners were really passionate and positive, but I could see from my experience that they were lacking in experience and some knowledge and some of the strategy that would really help them to improve. So I started off doing some consultancy work and supporting brands in that way. But I did realize there was a lot of commonalities in the challenges that they were experiencing. And there was also a lot of, I think people were all feeling like everybody else has it together apart from them. And everybody else knows what they're doing apart from them. And it was feeling quite isolated and lonely. So I thought, I just want to bring these people together so they can all experience that other people are having these same challenges and that what they can learn from each other, how we can support each other to grow. Although I really enjoyed the consultancy work that I did and I got to work with some amazing brands and it was a really enjoyable experience, I really missed the team environment. I really missed having that group around me. I'll organise a coffee morning. I'll see if I can get some brands to come along. We can chat, share stories and experiences. And that's what I thought would be it, basically, like an opportunity for people just to have a shared experience together. The first one that I organised didn't quite go to plan because nobody came. I ended up sat in a coffee shop all by myself and had to say to the waiter, oh, nobody else is coming. It was extremely painful at the time. That was a lesson learned on picking the right time for in-person meetups, which I've definitely learned on from then. But from there onwards, after a bit of reassessment and reevaluating, started again. And then we had 6 people come, I think, to the first one. And then from then, I did one the next month and a few more people came. And then by the end of that year, we had 25 people show up for one of these coffee mornings. And I was just really astounded by how it had started to grow much more than I'd originally envisaged. But yeah, originally the idea was just to bring people together, just to help, because when you're working for yourself and by yourself, it is very lonely. And you do start to question whether you're up to it, whether you are really missing something, whether everybody else is doing it better than you. So I just really wanted everybody to be able to come together and support each other to succeed in a way that time they didn't really have that support network around them.
So you found that everyone else has got everything sorted. They're the only ones that's in a mess. But actually, everyone is facing similar challenges, similar uncertainties. And as you say, starting a small business can be very lonely. So to have a group of people that can support you can make all the difference. I know that you've made collaboration over competition a core value. Why is that mindset so powerful, especially for women founders?
As I said, that a lot of founders can feel very lonely and feel very isolated looking around. And obviously there are hundreds of small business owners. There are hundreds of small businesses and there are very few unique products in the world. There are lots of people doing similar variations on the same thing. And each brand has its own unique flavor and its own unique take on the product and the customer experience. But when you are by yourself all the time and all you're doing is looking at yourself and comparing yourself to all these other brands and what they're doing, it can start to feel really lonely, really negative, really hard. And you can start to question yourself quite a lot. Whereas getting together with other people who maybe even are selling a similar product to you or maybe have a similar business to you, and just realizing not only do they have shared challenges, but there are things that you can learn from each other and support each other, then everybody progresses further more quickly. Because when one person says, oh, this happened to me and I found it really hard, somebody else always says, well, that happened to me and I tried this and it worked, or I tried this and it didn't work, so don't do it. It really helps everybody to feel less alone, definitely, but progress happens so much more quickly when everyone's working together, because it's not an either-or situation. Two brands, even no matter how similar, can both succeed because they will, as I said, have different target customer, they will serve a different purpose, they will have a different unique edge. So there are customers out there for everybody, for every brand. And if you collaborate and work together with others, then not only do you get that support and that confidence to keep going when things are tough, but you also just progress so much more quickly and with so much more confidence.
Yes, I think it's that ability to quickly identify where the problems are, what not to do, avoiding mistakes that you would make if you were on your own, and then quickly changing and pivoting and correcting. What's that saying? A rising tide raises all ships. So if we learn together, we can all actually grow faster rather than competing with each other.
Absolutely. And like working together and collaborating just brings success for everybody across the board. And it just makes the journey so much easier.
What are the biggest gaps that you see between small business owners and the strategies used by big brands?
The major gap that I see is understanding of the trading patterns and the way that customers shop through the year, because the world over, customer behavior follows similar trends and patterns throughout every single year. Obviously, there are always external influencing factors which can make changes to that. But in general, there is a pattern and a flow to trade and the way that customers shop. There are peaks and troughs throughout the course of the year. And large brands have a strategy to accommodate that. So at times when it's busy, they've got enough product to service customers' needs and to make sure that they're not losing sales opportunities then. But they also know when it's going to be quiet and have strategies in place to stimulate sales growth and to make sure that they are not getting despondent and, again, losing opportunities because it's quiet. So large brands strategize and plan throughout the course of the year, whereas a lot of small brands don't necessarily have that experience or that overview of those trading patterns. So if they have a challenging month, they can feel really despondent, like, oh my goodness, my business is failing. And it's like, well, actually, that's just because in July, all businesses find it hard. It's quiet across the board in July, particularly here in the UAE. And if you have a quiet month then, that's to be expected. And if you plan for that, then you can cushion that and have a more successful autumn and winter. A lot of the smaller brands, especially when they're first starting out and haven't got this experience of the trading patterns, really struggle with the mindset around that. So rather than planning proactively, tend to be more reactive to market circumstances. And that can mean that sometimes they lose sales or they end up in a position where they really lose confidence in their business when actually it's just a normal part of the trading pattern, which big brands really understand and mitigate for throughout the course of the year.
That knowledge sharing from somebody like you that's been there, that can transfer that knowledge to somebody who's never ever done this. They have an idea, they're passionate about their brand, but they don't know all these nuances that you only learn from experience. As you said, you started doing this as a teenager. So you've got all those years of experience that you can then pass along to somebody who's just starting out. The small retailer network offers structured training and mentoring. What kind of transformations have you seen from your members?
I'm so proud of some of the members. Honestly, we've seen some amazing transformations. One of the best things that anyone ever said to me was, this isn't a hobby anymore, this is a business, because I've got the tools and the knowledge now to make it a successful business. So we've had people who have been operating their business as a side hustle on the side of their full-time job, to quit their full-time job, to go all in on their small business. We've had brands who've doubled their sales on the previous year because they are being more strategic, they are planning accordingly. They are thinking more long-term about their business. So we've had so many transformations like this, which I feel so proud of, because although obviously I supply all that knowledge and that experience, it also comes down to each individual member to implement that and to really work on that and commit to doing the work, which sometimes is really hard. So we've had those members who have really committed to their business and committed to the process, had such amazing results. It just makes me feel so proud.
Yes, it must be so fulfilling to see the impact of the work that you're doing, to see other people succeed. because of the solutions that you've been able to provide for them. We spoke earlier about the gaps between small business owners and big brands. Let's turn that around. Small businesses can do things big brands cannot. What are some of the unexpected advantages of staying small?
I think definitely agility, because small brands have the ability to be flexible and to pivot and to change in a way that big brands, because they have this structure and because they have so many different layers and different people involved, it can be very difficult for them to change course midway through. Whereas small businesses, yeah, you can create a strategy for the year. You know exactly what it is that you want to do. Month to month, you can adapt, you can change it, you can lean into what customers want and need at any given time. If there is something that happens and you think, actually, this is an opportunity, this is something my customers need, small businesses can lean into that really quickly in a way that they don't have to run it through several layers of management and several different departments in order to make it happen. They can make those decisions and pivot very quickly when they need to. They also have such a close bond with customers, because obviously the bigger a brand gets, the further away the decision makers get from the customer. Small businesses have that such key relationship directly with customers, some of them face to face, like either in the store or at pop-ups, at events. They spend that time talking face to face with their customers. They are the ones that are doing the selecting the stock, they're making the stock, they're packing the orders. They have that closeness to the whole experience, which means they give such amazing service. And again, if they need to bend the rules a bit, if they want to go above and beyond for a customer, they can do that because they have that flexibility, which the big brands just don't have in the same way. And they have that relationship with customers that small businesses have is unparalleled. Like the big businesses can't match it.
It's that bond, as you said, with customers that can then translate to great service. You've worked with hundreds of product-based business owners. What advice would you give to someone just starting out with a great idea but unsure how to take the first step?
The first thing I would say is find some help. Find that community of people that you can talk to. Because what I have seen happen on a number of occasions is someone's made a start on their business without necessarily getting help or without necessarily speaking to anybody else who's doing something similar. And then they find themselves in a position where they think, oh, I wish I'd have known this early because I would have made different decisions. So I would always say, reach out, try and find, come and meet with us at Small Retailer Network. Go and chat with some other small business owners and get a feel for what it's like to run a business. Because the thing is, when you look at a lot of business advice that's out in the world, a lot of it is really more driven towards service businesses. And there is a big difference between a service business and a product business. And that is obviously the actual product and the amount of planning and preparation to get a physical product to market, to be able to, for a customer to be able to buy it. It's a very long and very expensive process. And what you don't want to do is go through that process and find that you wish you'd have done it differently. So I would always say, find some support, find some help, get talking to other people about what advice they can give you. And then I would also say, have a really good think about what would make your product stand out in the market. Who would be your competitors? How would you set yourself apart from them? And be really realistic about that, because you need to have that unique quality for customers to be able to remember who you are as a brand and to be able to really lean into that and to really draw those customers to you. So having a really clear brand identity comes from really knowing a lot about your product. Sort of the strategic side of things, it's being really close to what the product is, where it would sit in the market, and being really sure that there is the demand for it that you think there is, and doing some research around where that would sit. Because investing a lot of money and a long process in developing a product or in buying into a product, which then you're struggling to sell, is very, very hard work. Whereas if you buy the right product or create the product correctly in the first place, then the journey is just so much more smooth.
Yes, I think that's excellent advice. Do your research ahead of time. Don't just think you've come up with a clever idea and then start production, because it might not actually have an audience for that.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you've got an idea and you feel really inspired and you feel really passionate about it, it's really hard to slow down and think, okay, I need to do the research. I need to take a bit of time. because it's that passion and that excitement that makes someone want to start a business in the first place. It can feel like you're being a bit of a downer, saying, no, slow down a little bit and just think about the whole process. But it can just really help avoid expensive mistakes if you slow down that first step to then be able to build strong foundations for the business moving forward.
This is where also having that support network right at the beginning is so valuable, because they can help steer you in the right direction, help you to not make those mistakes that many make, because they don't have another pair of eyes or someone else to sort of look over things for them. For entrepreneurs with a great idea, with a really good product, maybe they're holding back because of fear, whether it's fear of failure or judgment, or they just don't feel ready. What mindset shifts or small actions can help them move forward with confidence?
Truthfully, everybody feels fear. And I think understanding that it's not the case that everybody who has gone before, who has started their business, who is doing it, fear or the absence of nerves, and they have any additional kind of like tricks up their sleeve. It is a case of they've done it scared. And sometimes it is a case of taking those small steps. But that's why having community around you can really help, because you can see the evidence that it is possible, because you can look and say, okay, well, she's done it and she's done it and he's done it. So it's possible. I can do it too. And it gives you that confidence. But recognizing that you're probably always going to have a little bit of fear. And because as the business grows, there are always new phases, new steps, new challenges. So maybe you won't feel fearful or nervous about the thing that you were in the beginning, but there'll always be something, unfortunately, there'll always be something new to feel a bit nervous about. There'll always be something new happening. And having just the ability to just push a little bit further ahead than your fear and just give it a try anyway is what means that anyone can go out and create their business and start to build a business. But everybody has that fear. And I think knowing that does give you a little bit more confidence to think, okay, well, if they can do it scared, and having that community around you where people can also reassure you and say that's normal to feel that way, but you can still do it even if you have these little fears, particularly when it comes to starting a business. If you don't know anybody else who already has a business of their own, it can feel really overwhelming. So that community can really help you to overcome those fears and start to push past it into action.
I think that's quite reassuring, knowing that everybody feels fear. You're not alone in being terrified of trying something new. Everybody has that same fear, but there's ways to come.
To a greater or lesser degree, everybody has it, yeah.
Yes. What's next for you and the small retailer network? Do you have any upcoming programs or future goals you're excited about?
Yeah, well, we're actually currently undergoing some upgrades within the small retailer network. So we have made some upgrades to our online platform, to the way our community operates. So that's very exciting. It's actually going on right this minute. So that's really exciting. And that's just to help to bring more structure and more support, more accountability for our members in a way to really support them to continue to grow their business through the end of 2025 and then looking ahead to 2026 as well. And then looking ahead to next year, the goal for the community is to just keep growing the community, to be bringing new members in, because the more members we have, the more collective support we have, the more collaboration opportunities we have, the more learning opportunities we've got from each other. So the goal is to grow the small retail network here in the UAE. And then long term, I would love to see it outside the UAE into the wider GCC as well, to continue bringing the support and the community to product businesses around the region.
Sounds super exciting. Congratulations to get it to this level and to have such great plans for the future. If somebody in our audience is listening and thinking, I have a good idea, I would like to try, how do they join? What's involved? What does it take for them to be part of the small retailer network?
They can go online to our website, smallretailernetwork.com, and they can find out all about membership. If they're a product business and they are looking to get that structured support, they can find out. We've got 3 tiers of membership according to where you are in your business and what type of help that you're looking for. So they can do that. Or we have monthly coffee morning still after all this time. It was where we started. Those are open to visitors. So if you just wanted to come along and have a little taste of our community and dip your toe in the water, especially if you're just at that very early stage of your journey, everyone's welcome. Again, if you check the website, smallretailnetwork.com, it will tell you when our upcoming events are and you can book to come along to those as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Okay.
Favorite retail brand, big or small?
I will always have a soft spot for Radley, which was my longest serving corporate role. I will always have a soft spot for them, definitely, even though it is many years since I worked for them. But that was a brand that really set me on the path to where I am now. So there's probably always going to have a soft spot in my heart for them.
One quality every small business owner needs.
Resilience. You need to be able to keep going even when things are challenging. You need to be able to dust yourself off and start again if things don't go according to plan.
Coffee meeting or Zoom call?
Coffee meeting.
Your go-to confidence booster before a big event?
Before a big event, I always like to look back on testimonials and nice things that people have said about the brand. It gives me confidence to remember why I'm doing it in the first place.
What does community mean to you?
Community means everything to me. It means support, it means growth, and it means success together.
Excellent. What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Surprisingly, I meditate every day to try and keep my brain calm. I've always got a lot going on, so I always take at least 5 minutes just to have a little bit to calm my brain so I can really focus on what I need to.
Well, thank you for playing along. That was easy enough. Now, I would like to ask you our signature green pill question. Could you share an inspiring or life-changing experience that you have gone through, your green pill moment?
The thing that's really shifted things for me and the direction that I am heading in now with the small retailer network was when I realized that actually I could go all in with the small retailer network and that could be my whole business. As I said, I started it because I was working doing consultancy. I started it as a way to bring brands together. But over time, I started to realize that actually I was enjoying that so much. And I could see not only the value that it was providing to the people who in the community, but also I was really enjoying that aspect of it and working with the community and working with the team. And when I realized I could do this as my full-time business is possible, I think it was just a real turning point for me because up until that point, I had thought it was a fun thing I could do on the side of my real business, but actually recognizing that I could pivot the business, I could change and I could lean into what I really enjoyed and what was bringing such value to so many people. It was just a real turning point for me. And I haven't looked back since then.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for joining me today. Your story is truly a powerful reminder that you don't have to go it alone and that with the right tribe, anything is possible. You've shown us how small retailers can think big, sell with confidence, and create lasting impact. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about the small retailer network? I know you did mention it earlier, but let's just recap that again.
They can go to our website, smallretailernetwork.com, or they can look up Small Retailer Network on Instagram or me on Instagram, Victoria Meyers Retail, or look me up on LinkedIn. Everywhere, Victoria Meyers Retail is the way to get me personally, or Small Retailer Network to check out more about the Small Retailer Network.
Excellent. Thank you again. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Matrix Green Pill podcast. If this episode inspired you, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. We'd love to hear how you're building your own community. Until next time, stay agile and never underestimate the power of community.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.